Hey there, guys out there in the internet ethers. How are you? J Cherry here. Um, Follow me at jcherrypresents.com and sign up for my email list. Great way to stay in touch. We are streaming right now live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for now. Working on having all of the video stuff that I do here and we do here go on to other platforms as well. So looking forward to that. So signed up for Float. So if you guys haven't heard of Float, that's looking like a really interesting alternative media site for live shares and things like that. And also Telegram, which is great for messaging and whatnot and staying connected to people. I'm very concerned about the big tech censorship. So today there were hearings and I have some videos that I want to share with you guys and talk about some of the things that are happening currently in Connecticut as well as in New York. So I'm going to jump on real quick and I'm going to share the screen with you. So hopefully everything works. I've been working really hard to get some of the glitches worked out and get the show as tight as possible. For now, it's just me here managing all this, but someday I hope that we can have a producer that can be here as well. That's why if you want to go to jcherrypresents.com and make a donation, even a reoccurring donation, a small one, a couple of dollars here and there from many people really goes to help us continue to produce this stuff and to even get more people involved in that process and to grow. So, these are exciting and scary and dark and dangerous times that we are in, but there is hope out there in the world. So as we're being heavily censored and the alternative voice, and actually I see something coming in, am I having a hard feed here? Uh-oh, I guess the quality was updated. It looks like I'm still broadcasting, so apologize about that. Working out all the glitches. So let me jump right into some of the things that were happening today that I wanted to share with you guys. So here we go. I'll share this with you. I love when things work well for me. I made this new little icon so you can see me over here, and I've got my backdrop looking like the screen. So, as a New Yorker, born and raised New Yorker, though I've been in Connecticut now for quite a long time, never have I ever seen the Orthodox Jewish community come out in support of a president. Now, this is no endorsement of Trump or a negative on Trump. I'm not talking about Trump. Enough people are talking about him that I'm not really... The reason I want to share this story with you is because I'm absolutely fascinated by the fact that there's a hashtag on Twitter this past weekend called Jews for Trump. I kid you not. And as a New Yorker, I've never seen anything like it. Thousands of vehicles went out to join a rally and drive in support of Trump. And I'm going to tell you right now, one of the things that people, the Jewish community, especially in New York City, is very upset about the draconian measures that both Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio have taken against their community. And this has been bubbling a problem for a while, from like the measles outbreak, remember that, where they really heavily went into the Jewish community and were fining people, and they're doing a similar thing now with the COVID. There was a special Jewish holiday where the Orthodox Jews go out and they dance, and there was a lot of confrontation. And there's some really interesting videos that you can find online of all of that. That was just a couple of weeks ago. So now here we are, where the Orthodox Jewish community is coming out really, really strong for Donald Trump. And I've honestly never seen it. So you can check out that hashtag on Twitter, Jews for Trump. I'm going to jump into this article now. Bear with me if it blows up a little bit, because I'm trying to get the scenes to go out really nicely, but I want to share with you some videos in here so that you could just see this for yourself. The excitement in New York City for Trump, it blows me away. I've never seen anything like this before. Lifetime New Yorker. I mean, I've been in Connecticut for a really long time. I have family in New York, but all my New York friends would say the same thing. Have you ever seen the Orthodox Jewish community come out this strong for a presidential candidate? Because I sure as heck have not. And I find it absolutely fascinating. But it also is a sign of the times where people are really, really upset with the heavy measures being taken by Governor Cuomo in New York. And we have our problem here in Connecticut with Governor Lamont. So people are getting really, really upset, especially the Orthodox Jewish community, who is being particularly harassed and burdened by what's happening in New York. So let's take a look at this article. I'm going to jump into it. Just bear with me as I get in here. It's going to blow up and look a little strange for a half a second, but I'm going to get it smaller for you guys here. Let me see if I can do that real quick. Just bear with me as I shrink it so you guys can read it along with me. And it should have easily done that here. Let's shrink it a little bit. Let's come out. So we're going to just come out of here. Usually it does it so much faster. I apologize for that. It was working before. I swear it was. So this is just such a fascinating phenomenon. I'm totally blown away by this. So there's this massive rally in New York, and whatever your feelings are on Trump, that's fine. But you just from a news perspective, because you're not really probably hearing about this on the mainstream, and it blows me away. So Jews for Trump hold massive rally in New York City. Defy Cuomo and de Blasio, and left gets violent is the headline of this particular article. So I'm not going to read through the whole article. So I wanted to show you some of the videos, but it just goes in to talk about how people are upset. And in Brooklyn, there are hundreds of people showing up to support Trump. I'm blown away by this. This is pretty wild. So let's play this little video real quick.
Please, everybody, please don't crowd together.
So this is Marine Park in Brooklyn. And we're just going to go through. Now, this is downtown. There's some of this footage could get a little bit heavy. There are some real violent altercations, and this is really unfortunate. You know, it's a very contentious period of time in our history, and I just find this completely fascinating. These are the Jewish population of New York organized a Trump parade down to Trump Towers in New York City. And so here's some of the videos of what happened. Here's another one. Now, granted, there was thousands of people in New York City this weekend. So this is just giving you a little. It doesn't give the full weight of it, but it's very fascinating. All right, let's check out another one here. So we had some photographs here. So let's take a look at these here. Here we go. Pretty wild stuff. This is pretty wild stuff. This is New York City. This is the Jews for Trump. Okay, there was a hashtag on Twitter trending this weekend. And as a New Yorker, and growing up in New York and knowing the Jewish community there and just being blown away because I've never seen anything like this before for any president ever. So there they are. This guy here has been very vocal. I've seen quite a few videos of him out there supporting and fighting the good fight, so to speak. So let me just go back. I'm going to back it back up to the article if I can, hopefully. Let me just close this out here. All right. So yeah, so there's a couple of more. These are just photographs. These are Hasidic Jews, and I'm blown away. Like I said, that this actually happened in New York City, and I can't believe it. Here we go. Here's some more. Just a full caravan of many Orthodox Jewish people who are really fed up with de Blasio and Cuomo. Miles and miles and converged from all different towns and counties in New York State to head down to New York City. So I'm going to stop at that one. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of a depiction here of kind of the stuff that was happening. And then one of the things that I thought was interesting too, that I don't understand why people feel the need to get violent, but this is somebody throwing rocks. Okay, so I'm streaming again. I apologize for that. I'm having a technical glitch. I wonder if it's the content that I'm showing or if it's just the system is having a bit of trouble. So bear with me as I try to get back up and running and opening up, because right now it's just streaming. It's just streaming on a private thing. Here we go. No, that's not. Hold on a second. I apologize, guys. Having some technical difficulties today. And I'm streaming and I'm trying to share this story with you, but my internet is shutting down on me. And it's not coming back. At least it's not looking like, it looks like I might have been kicked off of Facebook. So I might just be streaming on Twitter and YouTube right now, because Facebook seems to have kicked me off. So apologize for that. And I'm not sure. Hold on a second. I apologize, guys. Having some technical. Oh, so am I back up and running? Let me see. It says I'm still live, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm trying to share. Not 100% sure because it's not seeming like I'm in the live. Let me see if I can. And I'm gonna shut this down and I'm gonna try and. If this is working. Is this? I'm not 100% sure if this is coming back on the old stream or what. It's not looking like it is. I'm having such a technical difficulty, and I don't know if it's just because the content that I'm talking about or if it's just a technical glitch on my end. And it's like it kicked me off and now it's not letting me reset it so that it was where I wanted it to be. But let me just recap a little bit because I was going on for a minute and then it cut off on me. So let me go back to the screen over here. So I was sharing this story about New York City and the Jews for Trump hashtag. And as a New Yorker, I find it extremely fascinating that the Orthodox Jewish community has come out this strongly to support a candidate for president. In all my time as a New Yorker, I've never seen anything like it. So there was a large caravan of New Yorkers. Jews for Trump was the hashtag on Twitter this weekend. And I couldn't even believe it. I was like blown away that this was happening in New York City this past weekend. Like I said, growing up in New York, I had many Jewish friends and was connected into the Jewish community. And I just, like I said, this is just mind-blowing. And the reason, my opinion, and the reason why the Orthodox Jewish community has come out really strongly for Trump is because they're really upset about the recent persecution and trampling over their inalienable rights to do what they do, to gather, to celebrate their religion, and to live their lives. So I find it really fascinating that this is what's going on. So I'm going to play this little video. I was playing a few videos before my stream got cut off of the caravan. But this is a lady. So here's a woman who decides to go down to New York City and pepper spray some of the people who are rallying for Trump. But whatever your feelings are, if you hate Trump, that's fine. But you really pepper spraying somebody is just so awful. So here we go. Let's play this little video.
They all apologize after, yeah. They all apologize after, yeah.
So she gets arrested because she pepper sprayed somebody in the city. Now there's another video. People started throwing rocks at the caravan. So you can see here, this is it's so dangerous, it's so terrible. They're throwing rocks. Yeah, so, and now here is, this is the passing Trump Tower in New York City caravan. Let me see. There's another video over the Brooklyn Bridge I thought was a pretty interesting one. Let me share this one with you. So this is New York. This is the caravan. Let me pull over here too. So here is another video. Now there was some really crazy violence. So this is the video that just gets really hairy and gets a bit violent. So I'm gonna click on this. Let me just pull this up for you guys so you can see it. Oh, what did I do? I accidentally, I didn't want that per se. Here, let me come over here. All right, so here it is. Crazy, right? So I'm going to show you another one. This one's even more crazy. So this particular one, now it gets so violent. Like whatever your feelings are with, however you feel about Trump, I'm going to zoom in a little bit better so you can get a better feel for it. This is so wrong, and why we have so many problems right now in our country. Like this violence is unacceptable, and I don't understand it because this is coming from what I always thought was the tolerant left, or what is this, saboteurs, or whatever have you. But let's take a look at the video. This is just, I'm blown away by this violence. Okay, I guess it's just a GIF of the scenario that's happening, but you can see they grab this guy. He's an older man. He's got his flag, and they're grabbing him. They're beating him up. He was on a caravan for New York City last weekend, Jews for Trump. And it's his right as an American citizen to be able to express his support for the presidential candidate. This behavior is completely unacceptable and wrong. And this is the type of violent behavior that is the antithesis of anything that would be peaceful at all. And I'm really shocked by it. Like this young woman, she's like kicking him, they're beating him up, and this is an older man. So it really is upsetting, shocking, disturbing, and I can understand now why Jewish people are coming out in support of Trump, and thousands and thousands of people who are getting very, very upset about the reality that Mayor de Blasio has been inflicting on the Jewish community now for a while, because this happened when Cuomo was rescinding the religious exemption of vaccination. So many people in the Hasidic Jewish community do not want vaccines and have come out very strongly that they don't. And so Cuomo was harassing them then, going into their homes, giving them huge fines, closing up their schools. So now here in 2020, it's even worse. It's worse. So they're doing the same thing. They're not even allowed to go into their synagogues, their churches, celebrate their most sacred holidays, and they're defying the governor, they're defying the mayor, and they're doing it anyway. They refuse. You know what I gotta say? Don't mess with the Jewish community in New York, okay? Because they are united, they are strong, and they're not gonna take no bunk. They're just not. And it's really pretty amazing to see them standing up for their basic inalienable rights to live as citizens in the United States. And it's their right to do that. And I just, like I said, blown away by this. So I'm going to pull you back over here to the share screen. Let's take a little bit. Now let's, going to go over here for a minute and just change it up just a hair. Want to bring you over to another very interesting. Let me blow this up so you guys can see this as well. I'm going to blow this up here. Bear with me. It's going to take a little second. Just blow it up. I want to get it nice and good. So that was the article, and you can see that in my show notes. This was the article that had all the information, the video that shows the guy being pulled out of his car was an older man. He had his flag. It's like heartbreaking to see that. And these young people are ganging up on him. So this is the article, and you can find it in my show notes. Didn't mean to zoom out like that. Let me pull it back in. So now the next video I want to show you is, now this is Dr. Simone Gold. And I had the amazing opportunity to catch the White Coat Summit live in real time and watch that. And I was blown away all day long. I could not get away from my phone, from my tablet. It's watching these doctors come out and talk about COVID the way that they did. And here I'm saying that I'm probably going to have my video flagged. I'm already having trouble. I can't get even my video back on Facebook. I start this video, I get my feed cut off, and now Facebook won't let me come back live with the video. So I'm just on YouTube and Twitter right now. But this story really excites me. And you can find a link to the doctors in my show notes as well. Don't go on Google looking for any of this. Google is just completely corrupted, and they bury it. So when you try to find the frontline doctors on Google, you can't find the frontline doctors on Google. It's just it is just bizarre how that is the case. I'm just blown away by that 100%. So okay, I see some of your guys' comments. I apologize. So many other people in New York are violating the guidelines with those violations ignored. Yep, there are people, violating the guidelines. But what does that mean? Do you think that's spreading the COVID around? Do you think it's okay that the governor and the mayor are enacting these very rigid and strict measures? It's tough. I get people are scared. I totally get that. But when it comes to a virus, a little bit of understanding in microbiology is really, really key here. Anybody who's ever had a virus, which I'd say everybody has had a virus, correct? If you go to a doctor with a virus, they're going to tell you, a good doctor is, you got to let the virus run its course and keep the person hydrated and comfortable and do things to keep them, moving through that virus and all the symptoms that it entails. I mean, I've had 4 kids. And I learned after the first one that a virus is going to virus. And that's just so the government can't stop a virus. It just can't. It could say it can. That's a lie. The government is never going to be able to stop a virus. A virus is going to virus. But here's the thing that's really, really exciting. And this is what I want to share with you guys. This is Dr. Simone Gold. And let me pull her up here. So we're going to play this little video. Check it out.
To start with, why did you start this whole thing, America's Frontline Doctors?
Very specifically because working in the emergency department, I was being told by my medical director that I could not prescribe hydroxychloroquine and zinc for patients who needed it. And I was told by the governor, in my case, Governor Newsom, that if I were to prescribe hydroxychloroquine for a COVID patient, I could be found, I could be reprimanded for unprofessional conduct, which is a direct threat on my license. It was those specific events that propelled me to look for allies like myself, physicians like myself, who would put the Hippocratic Oath and the patient above all else.
That's a great answer. I will tell you very quickly, Matt the Wonderful, I sent a picture of the frontline doctors in Washington, D.C. This is, if you could, there they are. And I'll just tell you this, this is a picture of one of the groups of doctors. And if you the next picture I sent Matt is, there you go, they all have their happy white robes, white doctors' uniforms on the back, America's Frontline Doctors. So you didn't like that you were being told that. Have you had in other circumstances the governor or anyone else tell you you can't prescribe certain legal medications for certain diseases?
There's never been a situation like this in medicine. I was essentially a doctor before I was born because my dad was a doctor and it was well understood I'd be a doctor just growing up in my family. And there's never been a situation like this. We have an FDA-approved medication for 65 years, and all of a sudden we're told we cannot use it. And not only that, it's more specific than that. We could continue to use it for other illnesses, but not for this one illness. As an attorney, I was offended at the bureaucrats in government telling physicians how they could practice. In fact, I think it's very much against the practice of medicine that bureaucrats are doing that.
Oh, it's unheard of, and as you and I have shared on other occasions, it's happening in Texas too.
Yes.
The Texas Medical Board interfering with doctors trying to prescribe hydroxychloroquine.
Right. So as a physician, I really was very upset that patients couldn't get their hands on a medication that I knew was life-saving and life-changing for them. So on our website, americasfrontlinedoctors.com, you can actually find a telemedicine physician who is hydroxychloroquine eligible and from who you can get it. Texas, under a lot of pressure from doctors and the great Senator Hall, did reverse themselves, and they're back to a normal standard with hydroxychloroquine.
So, interestingly, hydroxychloroquine has been, you can't get hydroxychloroquine. You hear what she said about what Governor Newsom in California did. I believe that New York is similar, that you can't get hydroxychloroquine in New York State. Connecticut, you can get hydroxychloroquine, but it's not widely prescribed or widely used. And I find it really interesting because when we're talking about all the different treatments, or the possibilities of treatments in a situation like this, why these governors and these politicians wouldn't embrace something that allows their people to get out of this horrendous lockdown that is really, really harming people. And yeah, I see that, Aldo Voyancy. I hope I said your name right, Aldo. You don't like the rules, the way they're enforced. I totally agree. It's unfairly enforced, and it's picking and choosing which communities, which groups, or are going to be severely harassed by this. So let's take a look at this next video that I have for you guys. This video, oops, and I didn't mean to slip out of there. I apologize about that. I've got some technical glitches today. I thought I got all my techno issues together, and then I was getting booted offline and all kinds of stuff. So here we go. So here's another video. This is, I'm not sure what happened at the beginning of this video, but here is an Orthodox Jewish man who is clearly very aware of what his rights are. So let's just play this video. It's just, I cannot believe this is where we're at in the year 2020. And I never in a million years would have imagined that we would be living under these conditions. And I heard people say that this was coming, right? And I was like, oh, come on. This is never going to happen. It's just not. And here it is. So anyway, here's this video. Oh, sorry. Clicking on the wrong thing. Here we go.
Right. You don't have a noise complaint.
You don't have to breathe into my face. I'm the one wearing a mask.
You have a glove. You have a face mask. What do you
I'm
care?
talking to the owner here. But we had a complaint about vehicle parking in the front. Then I look up and you have over 10 people in a crowd.
So what?
Now it's an issue, okay?
What is the issue? Exactly.
The issue is...
This is not a party, there's no music, this is simply a simple thing. They have a few friends together. What is the issue that you need supposed to come into my house and tell me that it's okay for a police officer to walk into my house and say it's okay? When you are the police officer, you know the laws, you know the rules, you can walk into my house and tell me that it's okay. You would have been a normal person, you would have walked out and said, okay, can I talk to you? Fine, I can listen to you. Instead, you're just backing that up again and again.
We're past that. We're past that point. Yeah, he tried to slam it on me. I'm trying to talk to you as a person. No, we didn't talk. The door was open.
You were standing here when I came down. I didn't see anything.
I told you, can
as I walked down, you guys came in.
As he was walking out, he saw us, ran back inside and tried to...
So what I find really cool about this video is this man, he knows his rights, and he is not going to allow this officer to bully him. And, you know, I got to say this, don't mess with the Jewish community of New York. It's pretty powerful to see them standing up, to see this community standing up against some really draconian things. And like this here, now this is the one that's the most disturbing. It's about a 10-minute video. It's totally worth hanging out and watching this. So I'm not sure if you guys heard that the big tech giants were in a hearing. And this was powerful. This is Jack Dorsey being questioned by Ted Cruz. And never in a million years did I ever think I'd be like, wow, yeah, go for it, Ted Cruz. Wow, right? The whole world is upside down. For me anyway, because I've never agreed with Ted Cruz ever, like ever. So that I'm just like, yeah, right on. He's spot on. He questions Dorsey, and it's wonderful. So let's take a look at this video. This is it's so bizarre how they do everything these days with the, it's like George Orwell's 1984 came to life. Like never in a million years did I ever imagine that we would actually be living in George Orwell's world, really, because even just right down to the video stuff is just crazy. So let's take a look at this video. I'm gonna pull it in there. I want to get this started right from the beginning. I don't want you guys to
more information and specifically state election officials. So we want to give the people using the service as much information as possible.
Thank you, Senator Blumenthal. Senator Cruz.
Chairman, I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. The three witnesses we have before this committee today collectively pose, I believe, the single greatest threat to free speech in America and the greatest threat we have to free and fair elections. Yesterday, I spent a considerable amount of time speaking with both Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Pichai. I have concerns about the behavior of both of their companies. I would note that Facebook is at the minimum at least trying to make some efforts in the direction of defending free speech. I appreciate their doing so. Google, I agree with the concerns that Senator Klobuchar raised. I think Google has more power than any company on the face of the planet. And the antitrust concerns are real. The impact of Google is profound. And I expect we will have continued and ongoing discussions about Google's abuse of that power and its willingness to manipulate search outcomes to influence and change election results. But today, I want to focus my questioning on Mr. Dorsey and on Twitter. Because of the three players before us, I think Twitter's conduct has by far been the most egregious. Mr. Dorsey, does Twitter have the ability to influence elections?
No.
You don't believe Twitter has any ability to influence elections?
No, we are one part of a broad spectrum of communication channels that people have.
So you're testifying to this committee right now that Twitter, when it silences people, when it censors people, when it blocks political speech, that has no impact on elections?
People have choice of other communication channels with which...
Not if they don't hear information. If you don't think you have the power to influence elections, why do you block anything?
Well, we have policies that are focused on making sure that more voices on the platform are possible. We see a lot of abuse and harassment, which ends up silencing people and having them leave from the platform.
All right, Mr. Dorsey, I find your opening questions, your opening answers absurd on their face. But let's talk about the last 2 weeks in particular. As you know, I have long been concerned about Twitter's pattern of censoring and silencing individual Americans with whom Twitter disagrees. But 2 weeks ago, Twitter, and to a lesser extent Facebook, crossed a threshold that is fundamental in our country. 2 weeks ago, Twitter made the unilateral decision to censor the New York Post in a series of 2 blockbuster articles, both alleging evidence of corruption against Joe Biden, the first concerning Ukraine, the second concerning communist China. And Twitter made the decision, number one, to prevent users, any user, from sharing those stories. And number two, you went even further and blocked the New York Post from sharing on Twitter its own reporting. Why did Twitter make the decision to censor the New York Post?
We had a hack materials policy that we...
When was that policy adopted?
In 2018, I believe.
In 2018, go ahead. What was the policy?
So the policy is around limiting the spread of materials that are hacked. We didn't want Twitter to be a distributor for hack materials. We found that the New York Post, because it showed the direct materials, screenshots of the direct materials, and it was unclear how those were attained, that it fell under this policy. Now,
so in your view, if it's unclear the source of a document, and in this instance, the New York Post documented what it said the source was, which it said it was a laptop owned by Hunter Biden that had been turned into a repair store. So they weren't hiding what they claimed to be the source. Is it your position that Twitter, when you can't tell the source, blocks press stories?
No, not at all. Our team made a fast decision. The enforcement action, however, of blocking URLs, both in tweets and in DM, in direct messages, we believe was incorrect. And we changed it.
Today, right now, the New York Post is still blocked from tweeting 2 weeks later.
Yes, they have to log into their account, which they can do at this minute, delete the original tweet, which fell under our original enforcement actions, and they can tweet the exact same material in the exact same article, and it would go through.
So, Mr. Dorsey, your ability is you have the power to force a media outlet. Let's be clear. The New York Post isn't just some random guy tweeting. The New York Post has the fourth highest circulation of any newspaper in America. The New York Post is over 200 years old. The New York Post was founded by Alexander Hamilton. And your position is that you can sit in Silicon Valley and demand of the media that you can tell them what stories they can publish and you can tell the American people what reporting they can hear. Is that right?
No, this was a, every person, every account, every organization that signs up to Twitter agrees to a terms of service. Terms of service is
so
public.
Media outlets must genuflect and obey your dictates if they wish to be able to communicate with readers. Is that right?
No, not at all. We recognize an error in this policy, and specifically the enforcement.
You're still blocking their posts. You're still blocking their posts. Right now, today, you're blocking their posts.
We're not blocking the post. Anyone can tweet.
Can the New York Post post on their Twitter account?
If they go into their account.
No is your answer to that. No, unless they genuflect and agree with your dictates. Let me ask you something. You claimed it was because of a hacked materials policy. I find that facially highly dubious and clearly employed in a deeply partial way. Did Twitter block the distribution of the New York Times' story a few weeks ago that purported to be based on copies of President Trump's tax returns?
We didn't find that a violation of our terms of service in this policy in particular because it was reporting about the material. It wasn't distributing the material.
Okay, well, that's actually not true. They posted what they purported to be original source materials, and federal law, federal statute makes it a crime, a federal felony, to distribute someone's tax returns against their knowledge. So that material was based on something that was distributed in violation of federal law, and yet Twitter gleefully allowed people to circulate that. But when the article was critical of Joe Biden, Twitter engaged in rampant censorship and silencing.
And again, we recognized errors in that policy. We changed it within 24 hours. This is.
But you're still blocking the New York Post. You haven't changed it.
We have changed it. They can log into their account, delete the original tweet. That was
you forced a Politico reporter to take down his post about the New York Post as well. Is that correct?
Within that 24-hour period, yes. But we, as the policy has changed, anyone can tweet.
So Twitter takes the view you can censor the New York Post, you can censor Politico, presumably you can censor the New York Times or any other media outlet. Mr. Dorsey, who the hell elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear? And why do you persist in behaving as a Democratic super PAC, silencing views to the contrary of your political beliefs?
Let's give Mr. Dorsey a few seconds to answer that, and then we'll have to conclude this segment.
Well, we're
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, Steve. I forgot to turn my mic back on. Thank you so much. So, I got my mic back on. Thank you, guys. So that was pretty incredible. Testimony. Go Senator Cruz. One thing that I really hope, and this is why I was babbling on when you guys couldn't hear me. Thanks for letting me know. I really appreciate that. One thing that I really hope happens is that there's something that they actually do. It's not just this hearing where we can see Senator Cruz slay him. And there's another video I want to show you as well with Jack Dorsey. That they actually do something. Because, and I said this before while I had my mic off. I apologize about that. But, you know, when people say it's Jack Dorsey's business, right? Yeah, I'm all for your private business and your personal rights, right? I stand fully behind that we have inalienable rights, that the government is too much in our life. But when you come to a situation like this, where you have a big tech agency censoring to this degree, we have gone outside of that realm. It is a public forum. It is not okay for Jack Dorsey to be censoring like this, to stop, and the New York Post to block that. So let's take a look over here. Let's go to this video. I'm going to bring you guys to. This is like an infogram kind of thing. And it details about this. This really blows me away. And I'm getting really tired of it. From Hillary Clinton people getting upset about Benghazi. Oh, Benghazi, we're so sick of her emails. Well, you know what? If you're saying that, you don't know that Libya actually has live slave trading because of the foreign policy that Hillary Clinton pushed with Barack Obama. And look, I'm not looking to slay one party over the other. I'm just saying how it is. They came in, they took Muammar Gaddafi, and murdered him brutally on the streets. And ever since Muammar Gaddafi was taken out of power, Libya has been slave trading. So let's take a look at and Hillary, they got away with it. There's no, you know, oh, I wiped my emails clean. So now we have this another explosive, treasonous activity going on with somebody running for president, with Joe Biden running for president, which makes my head spin. Like, this is huge. This is a big damn deal. So let's take a look at this particular video. It's like a little infogram. I'm going to start it from the beginning. Here we go. here. So that, I don't know if you guys could see some of the writing on there, but you can find that. That's at Patriot Politics Research. You can find them on Twitter at Mike Volley _disc. So it's, I'm sorry, Mile Volley _disc. You can find that video. Or you can, if you're watching this on Twitter, you can find it on my Twitter wall, or you can follow me at JCherryWESU, where you can find all of the videos that I shared with you, because I'm pretty much on Twitter today because Facebook is being extra obnoxious. These big tech giants who are controlling our technology and controlling our ability to communicate with people and each other, and sharing this information that the broadcast giants don't want us to be talking about, is extremely important. And we need to break up these giants, and we need to be able to speak. The answer to speech that you don't like is more speech. The law of the land in the United States of America is free speech. I don't care what Jack Dorsey says. I don't care what Mark Zuckerberg says or how much billions of dollars they have. It is time we break up these giant techs, because this is crazy. Joe Biden is culpable of high crimes and treason. He's making deals with China. He's getting $1 billion from China while they're shipping our jobs overseas. They're totally destroying our country and filling our country with all this poverty and these lockdowns now with COVID. It's just like it's absolutely mind-boggling. So here's another video that I want to share with you as well. So let me get this one up here. This one you guys should be able to see pretty easily. This is just about a minute long. This is, yeah, the commercial law versus the law of the land. Exactly. And it's, you know what it seems like? It seems like now that the commercial law, and this has been going on for a while, guys, you know, and I will say this again and again and again, the two-party duopoly is the problem. All that voting for the lesser of two evils has led us into this really dark place. And I think people need to get up and start being active citizens in the United States, because our constitutional republic only works if each and every citizen takes and does their part. And what does that mean? What does it look like to be an active citizen? Well, there are so many ways that you can get active in your local government. Is really, really important. The federal government, yes, that's important, but your local government is where your state laws are made. Here in Connecticut, our local government is problematic, to say the least. But you can run for office. People can run for office. Regular people can run for office. If that's your thing, if you think that that would be something you would do, think about running for your local state representative and state senator. There's where you can really grow back the change. And as each state from the roots up regains their power back to the people, that's when we really start to have a lot of changes coming, and we don't have these gigantic monstrosity tech companies silencing what is actual factual news that matters to the public. It matters to the public that Joe Biden was making deals with China. It matters. It matters a lot. It's not just something to ignore. Why the Democratic Party couldn't find a better candidate than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is beyond me. People should be pissed at the Democrats. I've been pissed at the Democrats since 2016. Okay, so let's watch this video here. Here we go. This is Jack Dorsey being questioned again. This was a big day, and I hope that the feds actually do something, and it's just not political theater right before an election that they're, you know, Senator Ted Cruz tore him a new one, Jack Dorsey. So let's see what this senator, I believe it's a senator questioning him. Here we go. Oh, sorry, clicking on the wrong thing here. Here we go.
And we don't have a policy against misinformation. We have a policy against misinformation in 3 categories, which are manipulated media, public health, specifically COVID, and civic integrity, election interference, and voter suppression. That is all we have policy on for misleading information. We do not have policy or enforcement for any other types of misleading information that you're mentioning.
So somebody denying the murder of millions of people or instigating violence against a country as a head of state is not categorically falling in any of those 3 misinformation or other categories Twitter has?
Not misinformation, but we do have other policies around incitement to violence, which may, some of the tweets that you mentioned or the examples that you're mentioning may fall afoul But for misleading information, we're focused on those three categories only.
So somebody denies the Holocaust has happened is not misinformation.
It's misleading information, but we don't have a policy against that type of misleading information.
Millions of people died. And
so you see the profound hypocrisy here, the absolute profound hypocrisy. And I agree with you, Steve. Tulsi Gabbard was excellent. And a Democratic Party, she could have won. And I loved what she had to say. I really appreciated her. I didn't agree with absolutely everything, but I agreed with a lot of what she said. And I really do think she would have done a way better job than Joe Biden. So I'm going to wrap up this video, but I wanted to share with you guys one last thing because I find it so interesting, okay? So never in a million years did I ever think that I would end up where I am right now. And I got people that are so pissed off at me. I guess you could say I've been canceled left and right by all, my origins are in the arts and music. So all my friends are big lefties and a whole 9 yards. And everybody's so pissed at me because I'm just not accepting this whole narrative. I can't stand it. Yeah. And so let's just take a look at this. You tell me what looks better to you. This video, you know something? A picture is worth 1,000 words. Take a look at this. Let me pull this up. This is just wild. Take a look at this. Let me get this up here for you guys. Just classic. So you tell me, here it is. Do you notice the difference there? It's like you got people, they're cheering, they're happy, and then you got like Joe Biden coming down this long stairway. Like I don't know what even that is supposed to mean, right? That he can walk down the stairs without falling because he could barely talk. And then he got like these circles. George Orwell is here, folks. I mean, like 1984 is now a reality. We need to change this. This cannot stay this way. It just can't. So I said this was my last thing, but there was one last thing that I really want to share with you guys about my home state here, Connecticut. This to me is the most Governor Lamont, look, folks in Connecticut, you know what? You got to really think when you vote. And I've been very active in the state of Connecticut. I've lived here for a very long time. I've been an activist. I've been up at the Capitol. I've covered some really powerful hearings recently in regards to medical freedom and forced medical procedures being, that dirty word, vaccines. Whatever your feelings are on vaccines, they should always be by choice. The government should never, ever have the ability to come into your life and tell you that you have to take a medical procedure that comes with risk. That's why we had the Nuremberg trials, okay? And Operation Paperclip, we know that we integrated all the Nazis to the United States. Bayer being one of them that comes right off, IG Farben being another one of them. So it's just insane. And it's interesting how Jack Dorsey would allow the narrative that the Holocaust was fake, because wouldn't that just work out well to rewrite history, to ignore what the Nazis did with their medical experimentation, especially since the United States has adapted a lot of the stuff that the Nazis were doing medically. They took that information and the pharmaceuticals and all of that. Came here. Bayer is still in business, although they're being sued for billions of dollars because of glyphosate. So I wanted to just share this with you. All this here that you see right here, these are all the states. Look at this. These are all the states that if they come to our little bitty Connecticut, look there, there's one little state too, Rhode Island. So these are all these red states. I hope that's the red wave. Governor Lamont is predicting the red wave over the United States. But anyway, that's not what this map is. There are now 42 states on Connecticut's latest travel advisory. Massachusetts is now included on the list. For more information, you can click, and I put that link in the description. I hope that shows up in Twitter as well when I share the video, but it's definitely, I know it's in YouTube, and Facebook wouldn't even let me stream today, so screw them. There's all kinds of exciting platforms and places where people need to kind of congregate and move off of these tech giants, and we need to breathe fire down the backs of our elected officials and really hold their feet to the fire, especially after this election. Because if we continue on this path, we're heading into there's somebody I would like you guys to look up if you have interest in this. He does excellent work. You can find his channel on YouTube. It's Technocracy News and Trends. This is not in my show notes, but it's Technocracy News and Trends. Patrick Wood. You want to check him out because he talks about technocracy, and he says that China is that is technocracy. It's not even communism. It's technocracy. It's technocratic dictatorship, basically, meaning that they have you under this medical fascist paradigm where they track, trace, vaccinate, treat, and control your life. In fact, there was even an article in a mainstream publication, I want to say it was Forbes, where it said the future city, nobody's going to own anything, like not even like a cooking utensils. You Uber them in and somebody will lend them to you. A few years ago, I saw this young entrepreneur, and she had these pods that she was renting in LA to young people, where they were living in bunk beds. And I'm going to say this is so crazy, I can't even believe I'm going to say it, but they had like a sex bunk. I'm like, are you kidding? Do people actually, who would do that? Even in my 20s, I would never have wanted to live, pay all that money to live in a bunk bed and have no privacy. And they shared everything, and the woman was going on about how they shared everything. They don't even have to own toothpaste. And then this article comes out in Forbes saying that the future cities are going to be these smart cities, right? These smart cities that are going to spy on your every move. They're going to have social credit scores. They do in China. They have this already. They have zones, right, where you can travel to if you've behaved well based on your social media credit. Facebook changed their their policies and procedures for using their network. So one of the things that they did, and they haven't really enforced this yet, they want you can't use, I use J Cherry. That's not my name I was born with. That's a name that I picked up over the years as a performer and a singer, and it stuck, but it's not my legal name, right? But Facebook wants you to start to use your legal name. So what they're setting up is the social credit score, okay? And so here in the state of Connecticut, where we're dealing with Governor Lamont, and if you are in the state of Connecticut, please, 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 considering just go red. Just go, I was saying this earlier, I didn't finish my point. I've been an activist in the state of Connecticut for quite a long time, and the Democratic Party has had too much control for too long. It is time for Connecticut to flip the majority. Are Republicans perfect? Absolutely not. There's quite a few Republicans in Connecticut that I completely disagree with. I do not have party allegiance. I've been a member of every party practically. I've been a Democrat, I've been a Libertarian, I've been a Green. I'm currently a registered Republican. And I'm registered as a Republican because I want to be very active in the governor's race coming up in another couple years. There's some good possibilities for some good people to run against Lamont, and I want to have as much of a voice as I can. But anyway, the point is that every time I'm dealing with most Democrats in Connecticut, they are rude. They don't care about their constituents. There was 2 Democrats that I'm like, you guys are old school Democrats. You guys are like the Democrat I used to be. They listened. They were kind people. Two. And I've met not every single one of the legislators in Connecticut, but I've met quite a few of them. And the Democrats that I had personal, Matt Ritter, god awful. And he's going to be Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, who's majority leader right now. Martin Looney has been there for so long. He's like a reptile man. Martin Looney, awful. And then Senator Anwar, oh my word, sits on the Public Health Committee. Oh man alive. He wants to start to regulate the Connecticut, your water well, okay? Connecticut, pay attention. They want to start looking at the water wells. Governor Lamont is already doing that at the colleges right now. He is looking at the wastewater and locking students down based on the wastewater. I kid you not. I should have that in the links, but I don't. I'm not going to get too off topic here. I'm just going to leave you with this because I said I was going to wrap this up. These are the states here are all red. You can't, all of these places. So if you have relatives that you wanted to see or that wanted to come into Connecticut, you're technically supposed to quarantine for 14 days. All right. Do you see how is that even possible? Okay. This is what governor, and he just makes these things up as he goes. It doesn't, there's no legislative process. There's no checks and balances. This is what our Constitution and Bill of Rights was written for. People like Lamont. They are like monarchs. They are the aristocrats. Lamont comes from the House of Morgan. He's a trust fund kid, okay? His grandfather was Thomas Morgan of, you get it, J.P. Morgan and Chase. Governor Lamont's wife, Annie Huntress Lamont, has made billions and billions of dollars on the health, financial, and tech industries. She is a total technocrat. In fact, she was rated as one of the ladies with the Midas touch. So just, you know, this is the type of thing that, I don't know, man. We got work to do. And once the election is over, this is when citizens really have to be active. You want to really pay attention to what's going on. No, you can't come to Connecticut. You have to quarantine. But a friend of mine said that her son, now this was a couple weeks ago. No, this was about a month ago. A friend of mine said from Georgia, she's in Georgia, and her son is in Connecticut. She's a lifelong Connecticut person, left for Georgia. God bless her, because I think of leaving Connecticut all the time. So she left for Georgia. Her son came to visit her, and she said no one was there to check him. But things have changed. They just put a testing center in Bradley Airport, okay? So there's now a testing center in Bradley Airport. And let me tie this knot in here for you guys too. So think about this, and even go start to do some research off of Google. Google sucks. Even though I'm using Google Chrome right now, but it really does. It censors quite a bit. And when I do searches, I use other search engines. I use Google Chrome for video stuff because it has superior technology with that. As these tech giants do, they take all the cool stuff and they monopolize it, so it's hard for you to use it, or they can censor you. They're such jerks. So the whole point of this is that lost my train of thought. So Annie Huntress Lamont, SEMA 4. I want you to look that up. SEMA 4, Thermo Scientific, and the state's chief operating officer, Josh Gabal, all have financial interest in the testing. Not only that, I'm going to show you this real quick because I think that I have it from my last show. I just want to bring this in real quick, so you're going to see this. Not only that they had to report it to the FDA that the tests were giving off false positives. This is horrendous, guys. This is like the most horrendous thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely horrendous. The only reason they're even admitting that this happened is because they got caught. The Hartford Courant, shockingly, the Hartford Courant did an article and actually acted somewhat journalistic and talked about the fact that the the Thermo Scientific tests were showing a large number of false positives, which is giving this governor the reason to lock down our state, and all these other governors in cahoots with them. These governors meet together. This is not by chance. I don't know if they're checkpoints yet, but they're snitches. I know that there's a lawsuit happening right now that, if you're in Connecticut, if you're coming to visit Connecticut, you come by car, you'll probably be okay, I would think. At this time, the cops do not like Lamont. The state troopers voted no confidence. And Lamont put a fee or a fine if you're not wearing a mask, and I never wear a mask. And I was just at an event, and I did not have a mask on, and we asked the police if they were going to give us tickets. And I was like, no, we're not going to give you tickets. That's right now. We gotta push back. We got to push back hard, or all this stuff will start to set in stone and get really weird, and there will be checkpoints. They're setting it up because they have the testing center that Annie Huntress Lamont has huge financial gain. And then they say, you know, here it is with SEMA4. When you start to dive into this rabbit hole with SEMA4 and Thermo Scientific and Josh Gabal and Annie Huntress Lamont and Emmanuel Ezekiel, and then you start to see that it connects to Bill Gates, you realize that Connecticut is the belly of the beast. And Lamont is a deep state technocrat, or he comes from that ilk. These people aren't playing. So I'm going to end on that note, guys, and I'll be back with some more reports as long as I can keep on broadcasting. I am on BitChute. You can find me, J Cherry, just J Cherry all together. I'm J Cherry 17 on Float, J Cherry 1 on Telegram, J Cherry W at JCherryWESU on Twitter. And if you're obviously on Twitter, you know that. And if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm JCherry as well. I upload videos regularly. You can also find me on my website where you can subscribe. I'm having a little bit of difficulty with the email service and the subscriptions, and I'm working on that. But come by, say hello, follow me on these social platforms as we can. Our mission here at J Cherry Presents is just to keep, this is what I do, is to share this information. And yeah, I have a right too, Jack Dorsey, to talk about the current events that are happening that you don't like. It's not, that's not the way it works in the United States. Free speech is the law of the land. That trumps everything else. Till we meet again in Cyberland. Good night, guys.